Hello, hello everybody. Happy Sunday. Thank you for being here. I'm super happy today to introduce the new guest. Thank you for being here with every episode to talk about intuition and all things around it. So, let me invite today's guest. Okay, give me a second. So today we have Dina GANDHOUR. Hi, here she is. Hello. Sorry, I think it was my Wi-Fi in Spanish. When it's rainy, it's like a little bit like that, but it should work now.
All good. I actually had like a nightmare last night that the internet wasn't working and my phone kept falling, and then I had all these flashbacks of like COVID and how much like we relied on being online, and sometimes it just like didn't work, and so glad we're here.
Okay. Actually, I had a rough night too, and I woke up like an hour ago.
Oh my
For you,
God.
at least you had like the day in between, and I'm like, oh, okay. This is literally the first proper conversation I'm having today. I mean, I said hi to my husband, and now with coffee.
Okay,
Otherwise,
good. Just gonna get everything flowing. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, for anybody that is new here, this is Intuition Sundays. It's a series of informal conversation where I invite different people, different professionals from different fields that I think will go well with the main topic that is, of course, intuition, and how we can get closer to this inner voice, and how can we use this inherent ability that we have to connect with our inner truth. And today we have Dina GANDHOUR. So maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit too.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here. I love watching you and everything that you've been doing, so it's an honor to be a part of this series.
It's all mine.
And yeah, I guess an introduction. My name is Dina. I am mostly a yoga teacher for the last 8 years, and then started to move into the energy healing space. I've been doing that for about 3-ish years, and originally Palestinian, born and raised in the UAE, living in the UAE, so very much home. And we miss you, but we understand that you needed to fly.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I know.
this is why
I can
I
hear
left.
the sound too, and I'm like, like the leaves behind me are fake. Like,
No.
like that's how different our scenarios are.
I love it. Okay, we have to say something though about Dubai. They have the best fake plants. They really look real. Like you have to really go close and touch them. So you could have said nothing, and they really look real.
All good, yeah.
And this is like a real greenback. It's not, it looks fake. So it looks like, they
Totally
cut me up, right? Other people told me in the Zoom calls, they're like, is that real behind you? Or, it's one of those background. That's real.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so actually today, you are the best yoga teacher, but I would like to leave yoga aside for a moment and talk about the other thing that you do, that is Reiki and the intuitive body work. So let's start from the basics. What is Reiki?
Awesome. Great place to start. So Reiki means universal energy. That's the exact translation, like Rei and Ki or Chi. So this idea of like universal energy. And that's the intrinsic foundational belief behind the practice element of it. This idea that there is this abundant universal energy that exists. That's what moves and guides and shifts and births and deaths and everything. And it's all about being a channel of that energy. So there's this amazing abundant energy. We also have our own energetic ecosystems in our bodies. And so being a Reiki practitioner is all about being a channel for that universal energy, so that we're channeling energy from this abundant universal source to the recipient, which may be experiencing imbalances energetically that have manifested physically or not. As maybe you know, or people know, or people don't know, a lot of the physical ailments that we have in the body start off as energetic imbalances that we probably aren't aware of, and only become aware of later when something physical is going wrong, whether that's digestive issues or even injury or hormonal issues, or however it might be manifesting physically in the body. There's usually this like precursor of an energetic imbalance. And hopefully, if you're here and listening, we all believe in this idea of energy. It's something we can't see, but through intuition, connecting to intuition, the belief in energy, the practice of trying to be curious about it, to sit with it, to understand it, we start to feel it more and understand it more and feel its presence more, and then we can work with it. And of course, as you know, somebody that also practices meditation and yoga, and really any of these beautiful sacred movement practices, even Kundalini yoga, it's all about shifting energy or changing energy or nurturing the energy. So what is this energy that we're talking about? It's, you know, this universal energy Reiki, and then also this ecosystem that we have individually that's unique to every person, that can be affected by so many things, from sleep to diet to stress to trauma, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the big and small part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's so obvious that there is energy that we don't see, but that we can feel. I mean, even if you think about, you know, the old sayings, like the sixth sense, it's just that, like that sense that can catch energy rather than smell, sounds, and, you know, things that you can see through the eyes. And okay, so great. So can anyone benefit from it, or should someone have something going on or something wrong going on with him himself or herself to come to a Reiki session or to enjoy or benefit from it?
Yeah, I think people come to Reiki for many different reasons. Some people come just because they're curious, and like they just are like, oh, I heard about this, or I'm curious about what it feels like or what the experience is, and so they come in with a sense of curiosity. For some people, it might be a physical injury that they're trying to heal from. For some people, it's something emotionally that they might be going through. Really, at the end of the day, anybody can come to a Reiki energy healing session, because it's all about energy healing, energy clearing, energy balancing. We work with the chakra system, so we work on clearing, cleansing, and balancing all of the 7 chakras. And I mean, unless you're completely enlightened, then it's possible that at any point in life you might have some imbalances in the chakras or in the body. So I definitely think anybody can benefit, but it feels like you're probably going to be called to come because of something that arises within you emotionally, energetically, or physically. It's a gentle practice. So in that sense, anybody can come. It's a super gentle, nurturing method, nurturing treatment. You know, there's no kind of like physical manipulation in any way. There's no instruments that are being used. As a recipient, you're just lying down and you're receiving hands on or hands above the body, receiving the energy, that universal energy that gets channeled through the practitioner. So it's not like I'm giving you my energy and depleting my energy, but I'm just being a channel to that energy and moving it into the body over the 7 chakras with that idea of clearing, cleansing, and balancing each one, so that if we are more balanced energetically, we'll feel better, we'll sleep better, our body has more vitality, things are working more efficiently. So that's kind of the gist. But that's what's great about it, is that it is so gentle and is so nurturing. But the shifts can be quite significant equally. And they could also be very small. And if you're perceptive, then you might notice them. And for some people, they just come out of it feeling deeply relaxed. And if anything, it was a great way to wind down their nervous system from being in a state of, fight or flight or freeze. And it just gets everything just working a little bit better. But yeah, it's a beautiful, gentle practice.
It is interesting what you say about like that you're just channeling as a practitioner, you're just channeling. It's not that you're using your energy, because I remember many years ago, a friend of mine, she actually gave me a little bit of fear about Reiki because she had not a good experience. I don't know the details of it, but then she told me, oh, you have to be very, very careful about the person that is going to give you Reiki, because they can, you know, yeah, they can give you their energy or they can mess with yours. So I was like, oh, okay. I never tried really. Actually, before she told me that, I only received Reiki. And actually, I realized it just yesterday for the first time. It was one of those memories that was almost forgotten and came back. So my mom used to give me Reiki when I was, I think,
Oh
10.
my God.
I think she took level 1. Yeah. She took, I think, level 1, and she was placing her hand above my crown chakra. Now I know it's a crown chakra, but of course I didn't know back then, to help me study.
That's amazing.
Because I was right, and she did it for a while. I think I was going through like a hard time in school, or I had a lot of things to study, maybe an exam. I don't remember. And so she was doing that, and that was it. And then I didn't receive Reiki for all my life. And then this friend told me, oh, just pay attention because of, bad energy that bad people can give you, bad people being the practitioner. And so what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, a few things come to mind. I think at its core, it's a light practice. Like, we are light workers. If you are using the practice authentically and coming to it for an authentic reason, then it should be a light practice, like light work. We move, we're channeling light. I'm sure there are other energetic workers that work with the darkness and dark aspects of energy, but that's not Reiki. However, I can understand that as you're working on someone's energy, that there's this kind of like opening in their energy as things are moving. And so I think it's about the energy is really intelligent. And this is what I always tell people, like, the energy is so intelligent. Like, we have to get out of the way, and sometimes we just need to let the energy do what it's meant to do, but actually we get in the way of the energy doing what it's meant to do. Like, the body wants to be in harmony, the body like desperately wants to be in balance, and it's like, why are you sleeping at these ridiculous hours? Like, I'm just trying to be in balance here. And so when you
Mm-hmm.
the body the opportunity, the energy is super intelligent, and it knows exactly what to do. So the other piece of it is that even as channelers of that universal energy to the body, I always say that the energy knows what to do. It knows exactly where to go. It knows which parts of the body needs it most, and it goes and it moves in ways, in its own intelligent ways. And that's really just part of trusting the process. Trusting a process where we can't see and we can't analyze takes faith, right? Like that's a lot of spiritual practices. Like, well, I don't know why I do this, but I just have faith and I trust, you know. So there's a lot of faith and trust in that. The other thing is that I do agree that you have to feel safe in the environment for you to make a connection with the practitioner. So to step into a space and feel safe enough to relax and to open up your energy to receive. And if you're not feeling super safe and things don't feel so good, like I can understand that you might come out with a negative experience, and that could be that you maybe didn't listen to yourself and think like, oh, is this really the right person? Like maybe I should have a quick call with her before I go see her, or um, you know, maybe I should have like done a bit more research, or maybe I should ask for some recommendations. And you just kind of go with it blindly. Not to say that you can't do that, because you can, and you just trust and you're open, and then you say, okay, like that's what's meant to be. But I think having that sense of like, okay, this feels like somebody I can trust, and
Mm.
that kind of. The other thing I will say is that in the same way that other energetic or I guess like even with like plant medicine, like what you bring, like the intention that you bring in yourself to the session or to the practice or to the treatment is also really important. Like what state of mind are you in? Like what are you bringing with you? You know, energetically, intentionally, emotionally, judgmentally, like what are you packing with you before you come into this session? And so I think that's also really important, is that, you know, there have been times where I've received messages after a treatment and they're like, I actually feel like worse today than I did when I came and saw you. And like at the beginning I was really attached, and I was kind of like, oh no, like I fucked it up, like I'm awful, this is crazy, like I did some weird bad jujus, like and like thank God for my coaches and my mentors, but like people really bring to the session their own stuff as well, and there's an element of like each person needing to take responsibility for that, because there are some energy shifts, but it's also like what are the dark elements that are sitting in you right now that may be shifted or moved or are coming to light, that aren't mine, because I'm trying to do it as openly and as like authentically and as lightly as possible. So yeah, but there's definitely, yeah, I think it's all about just getting a vibe from the person and just getting a
Mm.
sense of like how they carry their own energy, and you know, that kind of thing. I can definitely understand that maybe there's some people that carry themselves with a little bit more, like some practitioners, like probably like, you know, we all come to this space because of, you know, we needed to be healed, and now we feel the calling to heal other people. So I can understand that other people's life experiences may have, you know, grazed them a little bit tougher, and they don't show up to this space with as much grace and light. And I can totally understand that. And so there might be some heaviness that they're maybe not working through as much. But that's why having, I guess, like a personal energetic practice is really important, right? Like, not that somebody's going to like give you their energy, but if you are sensitive to what other people are carrying, then a meditation practice is really important. The prayer is important. Cleansing practices like saging might be important. You know, there's like chakra closing that can be important. Like so many things that we can do. So that's also why it's important to have, yeah, your own practices as well as
Yeah.
seeing other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I love what you're saying, because for me too, like I think that every time that we choose to go to a person, whatever that person is doing, Reiki healing, a doctor, a yoga teacher, whatever, like there are two ways to approach it, and they both go back to your personal responsibility. And one is like use your intuition. Like if you're called to go to a certain person, it's probably because that person has the tools that you need. Among, all the Reiki healers, you choose that person. There is something there for sure. And instead, if you're not someone that is in tune with the intuition yet, doesn't feel that, then do your due diligence, like try to meet the person before, and do your homework before you just blindly go into someone else's space. And then also, I think that no one can really mess with your energy unless you let them. Like there is you can protect yourself. I'm super sure. And sometimes it happens that you protect yourself too much, and they are like, in my case, I'm like super protected, very strong boundaries, and even with plant medicine, it doesn't go through. It happens, like, but yeah, I mean, you can like, no one can mess with you unless you want it to.
Yeah.
This is, again, it goes back to that radical responsibility that you have to take when you approach these kind
Yeah.
of things, when you approach life in general.
Absolutely. And if you are part of this energetic world, or the world in which we are governed by energy, then you were meant to be there. You were just meant to be there. That experience was meant for you for some particular reason. It showed you something that it needed to show you. And that's not always a great thing to hear when like bad things happen to us, but there's always, like with energy, it's like you meet it halfway. Like nothing's ever like lightning bolting towards you and like I attack you with this terrible thing. It's like we somehow consciously or unconsciously move towards something, and then the energy meets us halfway because it heard the calling for good things and sometimes for not so great things. So I think if you are interested in this space, you have to start to also maybe believe in some of these concepts, or be curious about them, or be open to them, or to understand them in a way that feels right for you, right for each person.
Yeah, totally. And what about intuitive bodywork that you're offering? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So I guess like this whole journey has been super interesting. So because I was a yoga teacher and I teach Jiva Mukti yoga, we focus a lot on hands-on assists. And so I realized like quite early on that I really love like working with the physical body, and that there's something that happens with touch. There's something about a transfer of energy with touch, a nervous system co-regulation with touch, a sense of being seen. When somebody's touched, they feel kind of seen. In that moment where I come to adjust them, they can soften if they trust and they surrender. So there's something about this dynamic of touch and the power of touch. And I think I also used to love giving massages and getting massages. So massage was something also I just kind of found myself really curious in, and realized at an early age, like, oh, like I'm pretty good like with my hands. Like I'm pretty good at, people are always like, oh, you give the best massages, or you give the best this or the best that. So, and with the adjustments, the same thing. It's like, oh, your adjustments, like they're not strong, like the magic touch. And so I started to just receive feedback from people that I was engaging with, and saying like, hey, maybe this is like one of these gifts that I didn't really know that I had. So then I did a lot of Thai massage training with this beautiful lady named Julia. She lives in Germany, and I just enjoyed the practice a lot. There was something very rhythmic about it, something very flowy. It's called Thai yoga massage, so there's a lot of like stretching. It's a dry massage. It doesn't use a lot of your physical body's energy. Like we're not kind of like massaging anybody. It's a lot of like palming, using our own body weight, using swaying, using a little bit of kind of shifting or shaking. So it's a very beautiful practice because it was developed for monks that would go and walk around the town to ask for food or to ask for gifts or to beg or whatever. And then they would come back, and the practice was developed so that they would massage each other after a really long day of walking around. But they developed this technique so that they wouldn't get more tired giving the massage, that it was a massage that still retained their energy while being able to offer something to somebody else. And then there's also this big piece of loving kindness, which is also a very big Buddhist element. So a lot of Thai massage is, yes, we're relieving tension in the body, we're working on the meridians to open up channels to free energy, to balance the energy. We're stretching the body so it becomes more open and supple and more mobile. But we're also using that intention of transferring loving kindness through the practice. Like that's a big piece of it. So then the Reiki kind of came in a few years ago, since I started working with an intuitive healer, working with her closely personally for things that I was going through, and then eventually one-on-one working together. Oh, hi, buddy.
You're right.
Oh. He's like, what you guys doing? What you talking about?
Yeah, I want a massage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love animals so much. Yeah. So then the two worlds kind of collided and combined, and I came across this word called clairsentient. So there's people that are clairvoyant, where they can see into the future. There's actually people that are I think it was like clairaudience, which is where they have psychic ability to like hear things in other realms. There's even like like with smell and even taste. Like there's people who can
Wow.
taste things without actually eating the food, like the whole experience, like in their mouth. So with clairsentience, it's this ability, the psychic ability to connect to a feeling. So maybe people are like, oh, I'm sensitive to somebody's energy. And if you really work on that, maybe there's an element of clairsentience there. So for me, that's how I work with that's my intuitive gift, I feel, is that when I'm working with the physical body, I really can connect to the feeling of what's happening in that body. Like I can connect to the whoo, like I can like whoo, like as I'm working on like somebody's shoulders, I might be like, whoa, I can feel the anger. The anger is here in the shoulders. And then I'll maybe work on the stomach a little, and I'll just be like, oh, there's a lot of like doubt here. I can just feel it, like, I can be like, oh, like there's something sad, some sadness just moves. So for me, that's a big part of it. And then it's strange, I don't know how else to explain it, but like the body like speaks to me, like it tells me like where to go next. And that's why it's like intuitive body work. And sometimes I just do like a traditional, it's not very traditional because it's probably like influenced by my practices, but sometimes it's like just a massage. And sometimes there are moments of pause where I'm working on the energy. And even though in a Thai massage, you are kind of guided to go, okay, like you start here and then you go for here and then you do here and then you're going to go to the head and then you're going to turn over. And then like there's like a little bit of like a sequence to the massage. With me trying to move into this intuitive bodywork space, I just go with what I feel this person intuitively needs, using the physical body as the framework. So it could be that I'll work on the legs and open up the hips, and there's a lot of massage there. But then maybe when I get to the stomach, I need to pause and just kind of be with the energy, and that all this space needs is a flow of energy and not any physical touch. I remember working with a practitioner, and at the end of the practice, I usually have people sit up and I kind of do this like Thai chop on their back, and there's this whole closing like regular sequence, and I just was like, there's a beautiful sense of openness that needs to be kind of like contained right now. Like I could just feel this beautiful surge of like openness, and she was feeling really down and really closed and really confused. And at the end of the session, I could just feel this beautiful openness. So I actually like moved her body like into an open position. It was basically like Supta Baddha Konasana, basically like lying down, knees apart, feet together, and I put her arms up like behind her like that. So just her whole body like open and exposed, and I just left her there for like 3 minutes, you know? And like, whew, like that's just, I could just feel like that's what would be really supportive for her to finish the practice, is to like sit in that feeling of openness without any communication. Like we're not always, there's rarely any talking. Some people enjoy a more interactive process. I have one client where, you know, I need to work a little bit more on like, you know, like a bit of the communication. Like, can you notice yourself holding on here? Can you soften a bit more? Can you notice that you're gripping? What are you holding on to? Like, but for the most part, it's like a very, yeah, it's a massage, a gentle, nurturing, loving massage. Yeah, so that's kind of my approach. And the word body work is there because it's like sometimes there isn't like one specific practice, and it's just work on the body. Yeah.
I want to come back and try one.
Yes,
Now,
please. Well, we might come to Costa
especially the
Rica, so
body
you never
work.
know. We'll just do one
Exact.
there.
Maybe it's better. Imagine you connect even with all this around you. Wow. Something else. Something else. Yeah, I mean, wow. It's beautiful that you have this gift. And what about, do you okay, you told it briefly before about you're not gonna be depleted. It never happens, like that you feel that you're giving and you're like exhausted after?
Yeah.
Because I'm a serious, I also studied Thai yoga massage, and I did it for like, I don't know, I gave it like 10 sessions after, and then I stopped because for me it was like, probably I didn't practice enough. I don't know, but for me it was like so depleting. I was tired, like physically,
Mhm.
emotionally. So maybe I was doing something wrong, or maybe that was not my gift. I don't know. I feel things, but I said, no, no, this is too much for me.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know about how you're
Yeah.
managing that.
I think I think you're right in feeling that it just wasn't the right work for you, that for whatever reason it took more than it gave. Like I remember when I first started teaching yoga, everybody was like, if you want to make money as a yoga teacher, like you have to teach privates. And like I know people till now that teach a ton of privates. And I remember doing privates, but I just like, it just took the life out of me, like
Really?
every part of my soul. Like I could not do it.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
So like now I do like no yoga privates. Like I can do other privates, but like I cannot teach private yoga. Like I'm just like, here's Enrica's number, like go find her, you know, or like don't come looking for me. Yeah. So I think like I do think it's, yeah, I think that some things will feel like work. And you know, with like human design, like it's so interesting because it kind of gives you an insight on your personality, and it gives you an insight, like at least for me, as like a generator, it's like if it doesn't bring joy, like it's just going to deplete you, you know. And so like after I learned that about myself, I'm like, that's so true. Like there has to be something flowing about it. Like I don't have to do it just for the sake of doing it. The other thing is that at the beginning, when I first started working, because I didn't really trust and surrender and open up, I was very like in my head. I'm like, am I doing anything? Like, is this working? Like, should she be like doing something? If I'm giving her energy, should I like see anything? Should I like, what's she gonna say after? What if she didn't feel anything? Then like I would be in my head, I'd be like, oh, I only slept 7 hours and not 8 hours, so like maybe I'm not gonna be like as good of a healer today as I was like yesterday. Or like, oh, I forgot I took like an ibuprofen because like my head was hurting. Am I gonna be like blocked? Like I would have so many stories in my head, like honestly. And I think that's what drained me at the beginning, because the ego was like, you are the one doing these
Um,
great things, you know. And now I'm like, it's not you. Like, you're literally just like a plastic tube. So calm down, like take a breath and just like sit down and let the energy do the work, because like really, like we don't really need you. Like, it's great that you're here, but like we're good, you know? So I think like that's when things really shifted. So at the beginning, I did feel quite depleted, and then now I've found the right balance of like how many clients a day, how many clients a week, of like what feels most supportive for me, and then just really paying attention to how I'm protecting my energy, sleeping enough, meditating, making sure I eat well, drink lots of water, that kind of thing. So I think at the beginning, probably yes, less so now, as I like have come to trust more, surrender more, and be more in tune. The times where I have felt really drained um, are the times where things have come up in the energy healing session that are pushing my like growth edge, I guess you can say. Like, I have like these life experiences, and that's my like sense of resilience. But I was working with a lady once, and her whole body started to convulse. Usually people don't have any physical movement, sometimes like some twitching or some flicking or some movement in their face, but she had these whole body convulsions. She started to hyperventilate, and I was like, oh my God, like what is happening? And I found out like
Well,
apnea
that's
was
scary.
stopped. Super scary. Had to stop the session, and she was like, I was back giving birth to my son, and I almost died when I gave birth, and I was literally like reliving. I mean, the experience is stored in your body, right? So like
Yes.
sometimes if the energy is moving, like it's going to move something that didn't really get to fully integrate 10 years ago, right? So I remember after that session, like I worked with a beautiful intuitive coach called Chloe, and you know I really had to work with a few sessions with her, because I was like, oh my effing God, like what do I do? And she was like, this is the big stuff. Like the energy is telling you like you're ready for something like bigger, you know? And so like I again had to be like, okay, like I trust that like this is what was meant to come through. Like I trust that I can like hold the space for something this big, you know, and that like whatever is meant to be is meant to be, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's such a teacher as well in that sense. Yeah.
Wow, I had goosebumps about the
Mm-hmm.
story. And of
Yeah.
course, it's about childbirth. There is so much there. But that's
There's
another
so
topic.
much. Oh
It's
yeah.
another episode, that one. I hope I can do one soon, actually. Um, I, I wanted to ask you something. It's gone. Um, yes. So, what about the receivers and their intuitions? Have you seen some improvement in the area? Like, which kind of feedback people are giving you about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really like super interesting space. Like it's interesting because some people are so fried and burnt out that they like literally lie down on the treatment table and like pass out, you know.
Yeah.
And so the conversation for them is usually like way at the beginning. Like you need to just learn how to chill the F out first. Like step number one. Like intuition is like not gonna be there until you
No.
like,
Yeah.
ooh, like everything, you need to dial all of it down, you know. Um, I was like, you are fried. Like you literally, your head touched the pillow and you were out. Like, and it's okay to fall asleep. Like absolutely, 99.9% of people fall asleep on the table, but they're in that kind of like in between space of being conscious, unconscious, kind of like when you're in a long shavasana. But that their head touches and they're snoring, I'm just like, these guys are like wiped out, right? So, but then there's people that are in that kind of in between space where they um, tell me what they've seen and what they feel. And that's always super interesting because my gift is feeling. And I also can sometimes see particular images or symbols or people, or I feel a person, or I feel the image, or I feel a situation. And people are like, oh, I saw this color and that color. And like, I don't see color. Like at all. Like I don't see chakra colors at all. And it's so amazing when people are like, oh, I saw all the colors when you were here. I saw the red when you were here. And people who actually don't know chakra colors, like people who don't know chakras at all, who've come to me and be like, I saw this color here, this color here. And I'm like, oh my God, like you literally saw your own chakra colors. Like that's so
Wow.
wild, you know? And then there's people that have like also visuals that they might go through. And sometimes we share the same story, and that's what's super interesting. Is I'll be like, "Oh, I saw you like as a girl wearing a white dress playing," and she was like, "I was literally in a white dress playing in a field." Like, so sometimes we have like the same like image, and that's really interesting. And yeah, some people have a lot and they see a lot and they are wondering like what to do with that. But I think most people come to Reiki to just start that initial connection with themselves, like that initial connection of healing, that initial connection to self, that initial connection to what might be going on in their energy, in their body. And then for those that are curious or interested, they may start to ask me those questions and maybe move down that path. But absolutely, it can really start to open you up. And the more you do it, the more you can feel the energy. The more you do it, the more you start to notice the little shifts that are happening in the few days after, the little insights and light bulbs that come through, and the shifts that are happening around you, right? So it's just this idea of like slowly opening up if you want to be open. And sometimes you can't force it, right? Sometimes like you open when you're ready. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a question. Let me, there were a few comments. So let's start from the latest. What does it mean when someone gets tetne? I don't know what tetne is, you know?
Yeah.
Muscle starts to tighten and curl up during a session. Okay, that's, yeah.
Yeah, that usually happens during a breathwork session because you're
Mm.
manipulating the oxygen carbon dioxide balance, and so that's usually when that happens. So it's usually in a breathwork session. It doesn't, in my experience, usually happen in Reiki unless for whatever reason they're not breathing properly, because it's a very gentle practice. So mostly in breathwork, which I'm not going to speak about because it's not my forte.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, or that like Kundalini activation now, it's becoming more and more famous. I think that's also the what happens.
Mm.
Okay, let me see if there is something else here. So,
Oh yeah, wow.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah, it could just be that for whatever reason during the session, yeah, something was up with the inhalation, exhalation, bringing in, I think it's when you have too much oxygen, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but usually it usually works itself out. Like it usually don't have to do anything. It usually kind of works itself out.
actually, I have a question. What about the Reiki done from distance? Right? Like we've talked
Great.
about, yeah, exactly. So everything that we talk about so far is about like the body, you feeling someone else's body, and the energy is there. That's great. But what about when you do it and the bodies, your body and the receiver body are very far apart, and you're doing it on Zoom? Do you do that? Do you give that?
Yes. Yep. And because energy isn't limited to time and space dimension, it's just energy. Like everything exists at the same time in energy, like no matter where you are. So if you're connecting to energy, then me and you are in the same plane and dimension. If we're making that connection, that's kind of the idea. So yeah, you can definitely do a distant healing session. And it's the same thing. It's just about making a strong connection to that person's energy, bringing them into your mind, them into your invocation, and then connecting to their energy, even though it's at a distance. And for me, because it's, I guess my thing is like feeling, I feel it in my body, like as I'm working on their energy in my mind and channeling energy and scanning their body, then I might feel things come up for me. And at first I was asking my teacher, I was like, is this just like my own like gas, or like is this
Mm.
like actually like something moving and that's in the other person? And she's like, if you've opened up that connect, like whatever's happening in that hour, like once it's open is the energy that's coming up with the other person. And that's why if, when you're having a conversation with somebody, something might be coming up for you now that wasn't there before, because there's this like moment of connect where the kind of container is like open for us and we're now in this energy exchange. So it definitely also works. Like you can still channel energy, and that's why I'm like, we should all be praying and meditating and sending light and love, because people receive it. Like the world can receive it. The collective suffering can be uplifted if we all just, pushed it out a little bit more. Yeah, so it's definitely possible. You can do it live, like in a Zoom, where you like do it together at the same time. The way that my healer does it, she just goes, okay, I'm ready to work on your energy, like set your timer for 45 minutes and go lie down. And then we have a Zoom after. So I
Oh,
just
it's
lie down with
after.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll work on my energy while I'm just lying down, and then afterwards we'll have a little conversation about what she felt came up for her. And for me, I only work on one woman in Lebanon, and we always do it the whole session over Zoom. Yeah.
That's
So,
great.
mm,
Yeah. I think that, I mean, intuition, intuitive work, energy work has to be together with the intention as well. Like intention and intuition are so connected. Like this thing that you just said about opening the space and closing the space, opening the
totally,
channel, opening the little door,
totally.
and then closing it. It's super important. And I've realized, like I've said it, I don't remember which episode, but when I went to Colombia and I spent some time with the indigenous people, they put intention in
Mm,
everything. Like every move they make, it's intentional.
mm,
They every time that they have these beautiful fruit gardens or vegetable gardens, herbal medicine gardens, and every time that they pick a leaf, they ask permission.
wow.
Everything is a little ritual, right? And now, like when I pick plants, I never done it, even when I pick a flower. And now I'm still in that phase where I don't do it, like I pick it, but then I remember, oh, I should have asked. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's so it it really fills the life up with intention, and that
Mhm.
make you become more sensitive to intuition and to this energy that is happening all the time. I mean, for
Absolutely.
me, it was like super clear, this energy thing. Like, even when I do my session with the horses, because horses work with energy too. Of course, they don't speak, they don't talk the same language as us, but they feel
Hmm.
everything,
Hmm.
okay? And so I make people feel the energy, because it's not I mean, we work in yoga, so it's kind of easy. It's like, yeah, of course, there's energy. You cannot see it, but of course, you feel it. But yeah, regular people that like working so many hours in the office, like they don't know what it is. So I make them feel, and I do just that moving of the hands, and then I let them come close and then can feel that ball, and it's
Yeah.
so intense. It's amazing. But then on a visual side, it happened to me that I had this plant medicine ceremony, which is the San Pedro, and I saw it. Like I was already at the end, the effect was kind of winding down, fading, and then I look at there were trees and the sky in between, and the trees were connected by these fractals, and it's just it was there, like it was showing to me. And it's amazing, because then you can really see how one leaf moving will create this, wave effect to the next leaf and to the next people on the other side of the planet.
Wow.
And who knows what it can do to the next planet.
Yeah.
This planet can do it to the next one. I mean, yeah, I'm going too far away, but um, yeah, it makes so much sense to me that you can do these kind of things if the other person is open, and if you're open.
Yeah.
Going back to
Yeah.
that, like
Yeah.
giving permission or allowing. this
Yeah.
to happen,
Like
it
you
can be
said,
done.
even if it's just intentionally saying, I want to be open to seeing what happens. Like, not that you need to be like, okay, I need to be energetically open, but even just that intention of wanting to be open can be enough. And yeah, absolutely. In the beginning of any kind of session, um, I always kind of ask for permission. I call in all of the masters and the guides. Um, and like we were always taught that like we ask that the healing or the session or the conversation or the PowerPoint presentation or like whatever, really apply this to like anything, but that like it's for our highest good. Like that's what I was always told. Like ask that this healing or this session or this process is for their highest good. Not like, oh, I ask that this session heals their IBS. Like, no, you just have to say like for their highest good, because we don't know what that is. Their highest good might be experiencing this physical illness for a little bit longer, or their highest good might be going through a couple more struggles before they get to the great thing, or their highest good might be a clearing and an opening to finally feel some calm and some relief. So we just leave it to the energy, you know, we leave it to that mystery, that unknown, and we just trust.
Yes,
Yeah,
because we don't have the bigger vision, and we
totally.
want to have that bigger vision all the time, right?
Yeah,
And yeah, we think we want to go from A to B, but
yeah,
we don't see the C or D or
yeah.
yeah, I love
It's
it.
the
The highest.
Capricorn control freak in us, Enrica.
Yes, I know. I know. And actually, but this is very good tip and advice for anyone that is doing this kind of work, like even yoga teachers, like especially at the beginning. For me, it was more the yoga teaching came quite naturally. It was more when I started doing the work, the equine coaching, that I was feeling, oh my God, maybe I'm not good enough, and it's like everything is focused on the ego, like what you said before. Think that you are just there as a channel, as a, how did you call it, the plastic tube? You're
That's
just a
terrible.
plastic tube. Yeah, and that removes all the pressure and all the identity, the ego, stress, and you just serve. And that really makes everything. And this is what I always say. If anytime that someone tells me that it was, oh, thank you for the class, it was a great class when I was teaching yoga in Dubai, and I was like, but it's the yoga. It's like it wasn't just a fake way to be humble. It is the yoga. Like if you are open, I've opened my channels, I let it pass through me. Whatever
Yeah,
I'm saying, it's just because I'm supposed to say to you in that particular moment for some mysterious, bigger, greater good or vision or that is in that universe, in the universe or God, who, however you want to call it.
yeah,
So yeah, that's why I love to talk about these things. There are so many tools to access
yeah,
our healing, and that's why I'm doing this conversation, because today we talk about Reiki, and last time we talked about womb healing, and there are so many ways because we're so different, and
yeah.
sometimes we need this and sometimes we need that, and we're different in the same life, we change. So
So
that's what I
true.
would like to do, just to bring these things that might seem a bit woo woo from outside if you're not into already this kind, or yeah, like to alternative, to far away from the science, and just make them more available to people so that they can feel called to whatever tool they they feel called to, let's say, because medicine sometimes, like, yeah, we wait too much until what you said at the very beginning. You wait until your body is screaming, your like your shoulder, that shoulder thing, the anger in the shoulder becomes a bone that is like losing his the strength. Why do you have to get there? Maybe you can approach it earlier. And even as a maintenance, can people come to you as a maintenance thing? Like
Yeah,
having,
totally.
yeah.
So I always say
Okay.
like if something's coming up that feels big, it's important to work for a few sessions first. That's why like I only work on packages now. People can't do like just one session with me for the first time ever. So it's important to do like a few sessions, and that's the thing, like there's never one magic pill when you work with any of these practices, even plant medicine, even yoga, even meditation. There's no like bing, everything's fine. Like things take energy, things take time, things take intention. So it's important to do a few sessions, and then I always say like come for just like maintenance after that. Like you take your car to the mechanic, like you take this to get fixed, like you buff up your shoes, like like get new vegetables to eat. Like it can just be part of that maintenance in your life of like, okay, like if I take my car to get refueled whenever it needs to, then maybe I could be doing a bit more to replenish and refuel my energy on a regular basis as well, especially if you know that your life circumstances are a little bit more stressful, intense, complicated, overwhelming than usual. Like especially if you know, okay, like I'm about to quit my job and then I have this transition to another job. It's like, okay, you have the foresight to know that the next 6 months might be really challenging. How can you best support yourself, right? Like, why don't you just from now take the time to say, you know what, I'm going to check in every month, once a month, just to give my time and my body, my energy, myself an hour to just heal, balance, recalibrate so that I can move through this time with a little bit more, ease, perhaps.
Love it. Yeah, I believe in that prevention. Even if you feel you're fine, if you, yeah, just just have a little, yeah, whatever, Reiki, yoga before it's too late.
Yeah.
It's easier. Okay, let's see if anyone that is online has questions, please drop them in the box. And in the meantime, maybe you want to share where people can find you
So you
and
can
your
find
offering.
me on Instagram at Wellness with Dina. My website, Dina Gandour, GHANDOUR.com. And if you're in Dubai, just message me and let's connect.
Yes, great. Okay, so is
Awesome.
there anything else that you would like to
No,
share?
just
No?
that I love you and I miss you.
Oh, I miss you too. Come soon.
We will. It's
Yes,
potentially in the works.
yes, great. Okay, so thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
being
you.
here. I know your time is, you're busy and you have so many things going on. So it's an honor to have you.
Likewise.
And for you guys, I'll see you next Sunday. It's another topic that I love. It's about women support from a nutritional, hormonal point of view. This is
Amazing.
super important. Okay,
Amazing.
so
Okay.
thank you, everybody. Thank
Thank
you,
you. Thank
Dina.
you.
Love you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.